No matter what happens in your life, you're always going to have someone there for you. No matter what happens, no matter how hard things get.
Teen leaders in Kotzebue spread messages of hope to combat the darkness of suicide. A battle cry to save lives. AK Pride mobilizes to build bonds across Alaska.
Sponsorship for Frontiers with Rhonda McBride is provided by Kupik Corporation and Spinard Builders Supply. Alaska, where there are old triumphs, but also new frontiers, with challenges as great as the state itself, but a belief the best is yet to come, bringing you the faces, the places, and the spirit of the last frontier. This is Frontiers with Rhonda McBride.
Welcome to our program. This week we venture into one of the most darkest and difficult of frontiers. Discussions about suicide are never easy, but that hasn't stopped a group of students from Kotzebue from offering their support to Hooper Bay, a community that lost 4 young people to suicide over the course of 2 weeks. Well, Emily Carlson spent some time in Kotzebue getting to know these teens to find out more about their need to form a bond.
These are really motivated and strong leaders, Rhonda. In Kotzebue, they dealt with a similar situation 6 years ago when 9 students in the Northwest Arctic borough died by suicide in just 12 months. Now, nationally, the latest numbers show in 2013, there were 12 suicides per 100,000 people in the U.S. In 2014, the statewide Suicide Prevention Council found that Alaska's suicide rate was double that number, 22 for every 100,000 people. But a leadership program founded by a mushing legend is making a big difference.
Hey Hooper Bay, I'm super sorry for everything that's going on. Stay strong.
Teenagers openly talking about suicide.
Sending all my condolences and prayers. Everything will be okay.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable.
But I care about...
But Rocky Mills worries...
It is in Alaska.
What if she doesn't speak up?
We know how you feel.
More young people just like her might choose suicide over life.
Let's show the students of Hooper Bay how much we care.
Rocky hopes her old stuffed animals will bring comfort to kids in Hooper Bay. There's also chocolate, bracelets,
Alaska Caroline,
and words of wisdom. They're all going in a care package to help fight those feelings which make suicide seem like the only escape. Many in this room have been there and know there's a better way.
I've gone through stuff at home, like a lot of arguments and like just people bringing me down, but I'm still making it through.
You know, with my experience, I have attempted, like sometimes, no, not really, but it is hard. Living in this world without my mom, it's really hard.
Support comes quickly for Nyla Ivanov.
Either in jail or...
Simple gestures these Kotzebue kids learned in the Tech John Baker Youth Leaders Program.
Before this program started, there was a bunch of student suicides, and it was really bad.
These are kids, the kids are already going to for help.
As coordinator, Tony Jones keeps it simple.
Yes, yes.
He tells the kids
negative stuff and
make a connection, listen, comfort.
It just brings to light those kids that are already in influence, and then we can utilize those kids, teach them skills, teach them leadership skills, build them as a leader, and help them to make an influence, not just on the few, but on the many.
For shy people like me, it kind of like tells you to you have to talk for yourself and speak up.
It seems to be working. There hasn't been a suicide in the Northwest Arctic Borough School District in 6 years.
This was the original check that started, you can see, that was July 20th, 2011.
The program really took off in 2011, the year John Baker won the Iditarod. Tech Alaska, which operates the Red Dog Mine, was inspired to donate more than $1 million to the program in his honor. And Baker was happy to share his success.
I've been fortunate in myself, and I've gotten a lot of support from the whole state of Alaska, and to be able to give back and encourage people to have real fulfilled lives is important to me.
John and his dogs have finished the last great race every year for the last 20 years. Here he is pulling into Ruby in 2003. The soft-spoken musher says the sport helped mold him into who he is today.
For me, growing up in Kotzebue without a father, I had the whole community. The whole community took part in my upbringing, so I was really fortunate.
Young John Baker was a shy, skinny kid with 3 siblings who struggled to find his voice. Older John Baker hopes his namesake program gives kids just like him the courage to voice their feelings before it's too late.
We need to know what's wrong. We need to say what we need.
My friends encourage me.
Thanks to Baker's efforts, Nyla Ivanoff can say what she needs.
I want to make my papa and my mom proud, so I'm going to college, no matter what.
Fulfilling that dream keeps Nyla motivated.
It's better if you just go out and have fun.
The youth leaders want kids in Hooper Bay to find reason to keep chasing their dreams.
We still go through it every day, but it's kind of hard to go through it alone.
But Jolene Snyder has a group to lean on.
We're the Tech John Baker Youth Leaders from Kotzebue. We prevent bullying and student suicide in our school. We're here to support the community of Hooper Bay after your tragic loss.
Once an introvert, now she is no longer afraid to raise her voice.
And this message goes out to the community of Hooper Bay.
Hello, my name is Roquel Mills-Bain, and this is my 6th year.
I'm sorry to hear about your tragic loss.
These are the faces of Alaska teenagers who have been touched by the tragedy of suicide.
Everybody has a purpose.
They're not ashamed to reach out.
You are important, you are loved, and you are beautiful.
And say we should do the same.
Things will only get better through time. The pain that you've been feeling can't compare to the joy that's coming. Romans 8:18.
Words of hope to help hearts and minds move forward after tragedy.
It costs $250,000 a year to fund the Tech John Baker Youth Leaders program. Most of that money is eaten up by plane tickets to get the 100 youth leaders from 10 rural villages to Kotzebue twice a year for a retreat. Now, that large check from Tech Alaska runs out this year, and so far, Rhonda, no one has yet stepped forward to fund the program for next year.
Great group of kids. Hope they can keep it going. So I guess I have to ask, in this program, it sounds like the focus started out in one area and then shifted to suicide.
That's right. It was originally set up just as a youth leaders program, but shifted to suicide after those cluster of suicides in 2008. But it's working so well that John Baker is taking it statewide. He's working with the governor for a new initiative called Alaskans Changing Together, a wellness program for everyone in the state. And he needs help. He needs ambassadors. So you can go to our website and find out how you can help in this effort.
Let's hope it gets some people calling and doing something. And while we're at it, we want to raise awareness about suicide prevention, show you some help that's available. This is a local number you can call, Caroline, 877-266-HELP. And Caroline is a someone to talk to line. You can also visit carolinealaska.com, where you will find suicide prevention information and a number of resources. Well, up next, how choosing culture is also choosing life.
So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on.
AK Pride, a voice calling teens to action.
I just want cremation.
No hidden costs, no add-ons.
Cremation is much more affordable.
Dignified, ecological.
I just want something basic. the simpler the better.
Cremation sure makes a lot of sense. The Cremation Society of Alaska is now serving families in Anchorage and in the Valley, and we are always on the web at alaskacremation.com. Call us today at 277-2777 or in the Valley 373-8627.
At Spinard Builder Supply, we know it takes a lot of ingredients to get it just right. That's why we have design centers in every store to personalize the most important rooms in your home. We'll help you select cabinets, faucets, and appliances that fit your style. So all you have to worry about is how much oregano goes in Mom's pasta sauce. Spinard Builder Supply. Building for life.
Visit our design experts today and receive 15% off select kitchen cabinets. Now through November 30th.
We have a story of 27 families that put 18 months of their lives into building a village, a home for themselves and their future. Our Inupiaq culture goes back thousands of years, carried by a strong sense of community. Our relationship with our natural surroundings is at the heart of our culture. By investing in future generations through development that is balanced with the love of our land, the Kupi Corporation brings together traditions of the past with visions of the future.
Good morning, I'm Megan Mazurek.
And I'm James Gaddis.
Well, I came to Alaska to fulfill my dream of finally working on a morning show. It's the one thing I want to do. When I got here, it was just a man and his dog. Now I've got a few more priorities, a few more responsibilities. Life has changed for the best in ways that I never imagined. I knew this would be, one of those trips, one of those life-changing ventures coming up here, but I didn't think it would be anything as fulfilling as this.
A local group called AK Pride has turned some empty rooms above Northway Mall into a place where they can channel their stress and emotions into something positive, especially when it comes to suicide prevention. The group's mission to empower teens all across Alaska, and as Sierra Stark shows us, AK Pride has a message that commands your attention.
Who are we? AK Pride!
The Haka War-Cry. Junior Gisa says it was a tactic used by his Polynesian ancestors to intimidate the enemy, which he says can come in many forms.
The enemy today looks like poverty. The enemy today looks like domestic violence, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. And when it stands at your doorstep, it makes you afraid and you want to leave. AK Pride!
The 30-year-old says he wants others to think of AK Pride like an army, ready to combat the enemy.
Loud, 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 loud.
They're traveling to communities all over Alaska with a message.
For them to see that, there's guys that look just like them, their same age, going through the same stuff, and see them still coping together and sticking together, using dance and music and stuff.
And those are like footworks, what she's doing.
Every healthy outlet is needed out there. That way no kid can slip through the cracks.
We can break the cycle, put a stop to it.
Breaking the cycle. It's a phrase AK Pride has adopted, a call for change. It's being shared across the state on social media and on T-shirts. Charlene Andrew is from Hooper Bay.
I may not be there, but my heart still lives out there.
She says the recent suicides in her home village sparked her into action.
I lost some people to suicide in my family, and then when these 4 happened, I just couldn't sit there and do nothing about it.
Andrew designed a shirt. Front and center is the Hooper Bay Warrior.
I chose the heart and the semicolon just to say your story isn't over yet.
The proceeds from her shirt sales will go to AK Pride.
It's kind of like faith, love, and hope. And
so they can continue visiting villages around the state, because Andrew says something different needs to happen in order to truly break the cycle.
They just need other ways to vent or express their feelings. That way they're not being bottled up and, you start getting lonely, that no one cares, and just hurting so bad that you don't see no way out of it.
She's hoping AK Pride can let her village know there is always another way.
Call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lead on.
You know, when you're alone, yeah, it seems like it's impossible to face depression and anxiety. But when you got a whole group of people there cheering you on left and right, today, tomorrow, and before, there's no way you would feel afraid. You would actually see the storm for the size that it is.
Gisa says the storm is here today and gone tomorrow.
The chaos that I've caused just because of memories.
But he says the bond that AK Pride is building across Alaska will be here forever.
What I'm going through.
For Frontiers, I'm Sierra Starks.
AK Pride needs your help in flying some of their teammates to villages around Alaska. And if you would like to donate some airline miles, Alaska airline miles, we have their account number up on the screen, and you can also find it on the Frontier section of KTVA.com. Well, we continue with a focus on Hooper Bay. Ray Daw and Rose Dominic have been working on the front lines of suicide prevention in Southwest Alaska. They're here from Bethel to share what they've learned.
The Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium provides comprehensive health services for Alaska Native and American Indian people across our state. In addition to world-class care at the Alaska Native Medical Center, our work delivers health services for rural Alaska. From cutting-edge technology for the best care possible, to modern construction of clean water systems and health clinics, to health training and outreach that honors our culture, our vision is that Alaska Native people are the healthiest people in the world.
Everyone knows the best medicine is a family's love. Fisher House helps provide a home away from home for the families of Alaskan ill and wounded service members. Show your support for the men and women who have made sacrifices for our country. You can make a difference in the lives of our military families by volunteering, hosting a meal, gift cards, or monetary donations. Visit akfisherhouse.org to find out all the ways you can help. Fisher House of Alaska, helping military families in their time of need.
The Banker Law Group represents Alaskans with insurance claims concerning bodily injury. We've helped people as young as 3 and as old as 90. It's really pretty amazing, from engineers, school teachers, truck drivers, judges, secretaries, janitors, nurses, even other lawyers. I always tell people, I hope you never need us, but if you do, we'll be here.
The Banker Law Group, the law firm you need the moment you need it. Learn more at bankerlaw.com.
I was really nervous, borderline scared at the starting line at Mount Marathon. And I had done stories about it. I knew the mountain, but these are a whole different breed of runners. These Alaska trail runners, they're serious. To look up and know, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get to the top of that, and that feeling when you get to the top, it's changed my family's lifestyle, because now we're out climbing mountains every weekend. And there's just always somewhere new to go, somewhere else to explore, another mountain to climb.
The why of suicide is a question with no simple answer, and it is a question that weighs heavy on our guests today. Ray Daw and Rose Dominic have been involved in coordinating the responses to the Hooper Bay deaths, and they work with the Yukon-Kuskokwim Health Corporation and the Behavioral Services Program. I guess, first of all, maybe we should start off, Ray, talking about some of the youth responses when youth reach out. Is that a good thing? Does that help?
Yes, it definitely helps when young people respond. Youth, meaning high school students, respond differently from youth who are out of high school, young adults. There are different kinds of responses because their social systems and how they perceive their lives and what they're doing in their daily life are different. But yes, any kind of youth response to seeking support and assistance and guidance is helpful.
Well, one of the things that someone told me close to the Hooper Bay deaths said that, he lived in the community a long time and is sort of frustrated a little bit that when you have a cluster of deaths, people get all concerned and involved, but then, maybe a few years later, there's a single death and that interest isn't there.
In Hooper, it's had a really good history over the last 3 years of not having a suicide death. And the deaths that occurred recently have been more of an anomaly than what is usual. And the village leaders and the elders and the school officials and the community recognize that and see what has happened as very unfortunate and cause for a lot of grief, but also look at that as a opportunity to continue growing and continue the work that they've been doing really well at healing.
Well, Rose, you've been a force behind some of the healing. Can you talk a little bit about how, when there is a crisis in a community, how you respond to it?
Our approach to responding to suicide in the community is to try and help the community leadership elders to provide support to people who are faced with that very heavy heart and mind. So it's working with the leadership, the elders, and the community, so that they're the ones who provide that support to their loved ones, to their community.
So you've developed a model based on some very old traditional concepts when you work with wellness and suicide prevention. Can you explain that to us?
Nutumsat are ancestral ways of teaching skills to live a healthy life. These are skills that prepare a person to deal with life that is hard, life struggles in life. These are alternatives to suicide or substance abuse or various unhealthy ways of behaving. Our elders tell us that if these skills and this knowledge and wisdom is not taught and to instill in a person, that they're not going to know how to deal with a difficult life.
Well, I notice on your chart there that there are 4 ages of humanity and that there are different concepts for each. Now here, you know, it's sort of the tip of the iceberg theory. Can you talk about that?
It's the tip of the iceberg is all of the things that everyone else sees and defines us as Yupik people. The bottom part of the iceberg is really focused on those very skills, human skills, that provide grounding and knowledge and skills and ways to navigate life, and these are our Yupik things that have been set aside since colonization and Christianity came to Alaska, and these are the very important things that we have have let go. These are the kinds of things that help a person to be strong, to be able to choose life, and to live a good life.
Now, Ray, you are Navajo. Do you find that culture is key to dealing with suicide appropriately?
There are quite a few references across the world and in the United States around the value of culture towards instilling self-identification, self-worth, and a way to begin to map out one's life. As a Navajo man, what I see as significant strengths among our people in Southwest Alaska is a very strong language, very strong extended family systems, and very strong culture that's based on what Rose describes. And these elements have created a thriving region. A majority of our villages in the region, we have 58 villages in the region, really do well. We have a few villages that we work on with elders to teach reteach the cultural teachings that in some cases have been put away, like Rose describes. But most definitely, in behavioral health, we do recognize culture as a major way to build resiliency among young people and later into adults.
Well, before we go here, I'd like you to answer the question, what is the biggest misconception that people have about suicide?
The biggest misconception is that there is a simple answer. With many of the suicide deaths in Alaska, alcohol is a major factor, alcohol intoxication. And I think that is one misconception that doesn't get talked about enough.
And also, do you think that one region's symptoms are different than another's? Does that pop up?
Oh, very definitely. As I mentioned before, a significant proportion of our people in Southwest Alaska speak language. It's quite a bit different from other parts of Alaska where native Alaskans and other regions don't speak language as well or hardly at all. That's a big difference. Cultural practices has been coming back in place. It's really strong.
All right, well, we want to thank both of you for joining us, Ray Daw and Rose Dominic. And if you want to hear more of this discussion, we'll continue this conversation on the web. And before we leave you, we want a reminder for you about help that's available. Now, this is a local number, Caroline 877-266-HELP. Caroline is a suicide prevention program for Alaskans where you can always find someone to talk with. You can also visit carolinealaska.com where you can find information on prevention and places you can turn to for help. Now finally, we love sharing our viewer photographs with you, and these come to us from Nyla Ivanoff of Kotzebue. She was featured earlier in our program in Emily Carlson's story about the Tech John Baker Youth Leader Program, which encourages students to express themselves. Well, as you can see, Nyla definitely has a talent for expressing herself through photography, and she has a way of seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary. Quite a gift to do that. Well, before we go, a few words of thanks. We appreciated advice from Ken Norton, who's a national expert. He gave a webinar for Alaska journalists this week on how to cover stories involving suicide. So we want to thank Sarana Schell and James Galanos with the State Department of Health and Social Services for setting up this training for reporters. And as with every challenging frontier, you can never know enough. Thanks for being a part of this week's conversation.